Well, it's the Late 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 Show, featuring musical guest Rebecca Black, Tupac, a rapper, Steve from Blues Clues, award-winning author Margaret Atwood, Bilbo Christmas, Dr. Jerry Garner, CEO, Randy Tanglin, U.S. Top 300 Professor, Tom Ritter, a wizard and playboy, and your host, Raspberry T. Jenkins.
Hello, and good evening. My name is Raspberry T. Jenkins, and before we get to our highlighted episode of the show, Domesticated Cougars in American Trailer Parks, I'd like to introduce a cougar in her own right, Margaret Atwood. Margaret, welcome. It's a pleasure, Margaret.
Thank you for having me.
Please have a seat, won't you?
Yes, thank you.
So let's get started, shall we?
Yes.
Margaret, why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, a little bit of biography, as we like to say in business.
Well, I guess I'd start by saying that I'm from Canada. Beautiful place.
A Canuck.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. What else would you like to know about me? I'm from a family of moderate size. I have about 2 other siblings.
Oh, quite moderate indeed,
Yeah.
Margaret. Yes.
Thought so.
Now, tell us, when did you start right into the first place? At what age?
Well, rather young, I would say. I started writing about the age of 6.
Oh, 6. I couldn't even hold a crayon at the age of 6.
I know, most people can't.
Well, I don't know, but that's phenomenal. Now, you wrote this book right here, Oryx and Crake. Yeah. Now, we didn't read the book. We bought it. Don't worry. But tell us a little bit about your new novel, Oryx and Crake. Margaret, go ahead. Give us a brief summary.
Sure thing. Well, really, it plays around the character of a boy named Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy's his name, yeah.
Ah.
And he's more of your artsy or literature type of guy, right?
Yes.
And there's a conflict that really arises between him and his good friend Crake. Yeah. And he's more of the sciencey type of guy. Yeah, but they're good friends. Now you have to understand that their society is really based all around the scientific community.
Is that right?
It is, yeah. And it just sort of follows their story and basically ends up, spoiler alert,
Hold on, folks at home.
basically destroying all of humanity.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Now, is this book just far out there, or is it, I believe it's based on some of your personal beliefs. Is that right, Margaret?
That is right.
Okay.
Now, at this point, I'd like to clarify something to you and all
clarify
of our
away.
listeners. Oftentimes, I am accused of writing scientific fiction.
Oh, no.
Like I said, this is not scientific fiction.
I believe you describe it as I have here, speculative fiction. Is that correct, Margaret?
You couldn't have said it any better.
Okay, now, Margaret, go ahead and tell us what you mean.
Speculative fiction involves things that could actually happen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
It does not have spaceships and aliens and laser beams and things like that. I'm talking about real events like global warming and other things like genetic engineering. These things are real problems within our society, in my view. And this book sort of addresses how things could turn out if we continue on the slippery slope that we are on right now.
So you believe the events in this book could possibly take place if we continue on a current path of human behavior?
Yes.
Is that right?
That is exactly
Now, that was very interesting. Now, when I read the book, I had no idea, but that's beyond me, Margaret. Okay, phenomenal. Now, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and stick around. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Now, before we leave, I just want to say thank you for being here, and we're going to introduce a couple guests to, entertain us. We'll be right back, folks. Don't you touch that dial. Welcome back, audience. Here we are again with Margaret Atwood, a Canadian author. Now, I want to talk about a more serious issue in the book, we have today's world where the industrialized countries are making all the decisions, but it's the poorest countries in the world that are most affected. And that brings up the issue of climate change, global climate change. And so along with Margaret, I want to introduce a man by the name of Bilbo Christmas from the University of Indiana and Purdue in Indianapolis. Bilbo, welcome to the show, son.
Thank you, thank you.
How you doing, Bilbo?
I'm doing well.
Great to have you.
Please join me. How are you? Doing great.
Well, Bilbo, this is Margaret. Now,
by the way, I enjoyed your book, Margaret. I think it was a phenomenal topic reading. Very, very well organized. I'll give it to you. You must have put a lot of effort into this book of yours. Thank you, sir.
now, Bilbo, before you ask Margaret to the prom, let's go ahead and get started here. Now, Margaret, you're the eldest, no offense. You look great. I mean, that hair is phenomenal. Look, can we get a close-up on that hair? Is that real or is that a wig?
Oh, thank you.
Well, it's made out of real, that's skunk fur right there. Would you look at that?
It really is.
Well, no, on a serious note,
Nice fur.
go ahead and talk about global climate change in your book, Oryx and Craig.
Well, first, I would just like to start off by pointing out that an actual fact about the United States of America is that we have less than 5% of the world population, but yet we consume more than 20% of global energy. I mean, does that not just make your jaw drop to the floor?
Oh, it's on the floor, all right. Now, that is a travesty. Now, Bilbo, you're the expert on global climate change. Why don't you go ahead and elaborate on the topic?
Some of the implication that this poses on our natural ecosystems, are basically, for how we farm and, how the availability of water to irrigate our crops. And going back to your quote earlier, Margaret, of power usage, that's another one of the concerns that, we have, one of the implications that we have. So it's I'm glad you brought that up.
Now, how immediate do you believe global climate change? Is this something 200 years or is it in the more immediate future?
Oh no, we're years, it's years ahead.
Now, what would you say to that point, Michelle? Because you have us in the near future, is that correct?
I very much believe that it is in the near future if we are not experiencing the effects of it right now.
Oh, debate ensues. I said, would you care to elaborate about points in your book? Maybe specific things, possibly.
Well, I mean, the main places that
Well, I just, some of the points that she kind of posed in her book, just, it doesn't really talk about the, actual climate change. I think it's more theoretical in the sense than, what's actually going on. But let me hear your points in your story. I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize. It's all right.
Apology not accepted. Continue.
I kind of see where you're coming from. I believe that the main effects of climate change will be seen in the farther future. Like the parts in my book where I address the, more icebergs melting and sea levels rising and flooding people out of their homes and weather changing so people can't grow crops anymore on their lands. I mean, you won't see that happen tomorrow. That's not what I'm trying to say.
But I mean, it's years ahead, and that's what I was, implying. That.
Then I think we're on the same page, really.
No, that's a good point. Now, I believe what the point you're trying to get at, Miss Margaret, is that if we don't stop our current behavior, it could be a slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope, yeah. Yes. And other places I address that in my book is you can really see and identify the differences in society.
Yes.
I mean, you have the plebeians, first of all, which are a mess in themselves, if I do say.
Right.
And you also have the difference between the more developed countries and the more underdeveloped countries. And you can really pick up on that in my book.
No, phenomenal. No, that's a good point. I think we can segue here. And as we talk about global climate change, Margaret, I think you would agree that if we don't stop where we are on this, slippery slope, we may have to depend solely on science.